the value of chipping and what it means to me personally. I have to give you a little history. Back in the 70s and the 80s, I used to give so many chipping lessons, and it was so valuable. And all of a sudden, it started slowing down. People quit calling and asking specifically for chipping lessons. And of course, most of us know why. The new golf course designs with the big undulating greens and the deep bunkers took chipping out of it. But not for everybody, because not all of us play those new golf courses. I'm at a great golf course here where that's all we do all day long is chip at Scottsdale Country Club. So it's an art form that's kind of been lost. However, let me warn you, unless you're a really good player, you still need to improve your chipping. Now, back what I was saying about a little bit of history about myself. I was so small growing up that I wasn't a real good hitter of the ball. But I loved to putt, chip, pitch, and hit bunker shots. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them. And I wanted to get that technique down so when I missed a green, I not only didn't have any fear of getting it up and down, but listen to what great chipping does for you. It takes away the fear of your second shot or third shot onto the green. Because if you're a great chipper, you're not really worried whether you mishit the shot that much because you feel like you can get it up and down. That's what chipping does for me. When I'm competing or playing golf for fun, I have so much confidence in my chipping that it takes the stress off the full swing. Now, what will it do for you? Think of it this way, and I've played this game for the last 25 years and I love it. Think about if I chipped every one of your chip shots for the rest of this year. What do you think your handicap would be come December? If I did all the chipping, even if you putted, but I chipped for you. That's how important it is to you. Now, let me give you a couple other things why I think chipping is so important for your game. You don't have to have strength. You don't need to hit it 300 yards. You need to hit it sort of 10 or 15 or 20 feet. And if you practice it, practice the method, and understand the game of chipping, you will be able to chip it up there. And just think of it this way. If you chip up and make the putt, you save a shot. And if you do that, let's say you have 9 chips a day, and you get it up and down 4 times. Well, your handicap's going to drop. Chipping, the lost art form of chipping, is keeping the ball along the ground. And like I said, back in the 50s and 60s, before they started building these golf courses, everybody chipped. As a matter of fact, what's really great is, even though that people talk a lot about that we don't chip so much, you know they chip at Augusta all the time. So there are golf courses. Pinehurst, number 2, you have to chip. So even these great golf courses, the older ones, you still have to chip to. Now, what is chipping? Remember this, and this has been confusing for years. The difference between a chip and a pitch is not yardage. The difference between a chip and a pitch is whether you can get the ball safely on the green with minimum air. So what it means is this. A chip goes short time in the air and then rolls along the ground. But a pitch goes way up in the air and short time to the pin. So a chip shot is something on the ground. You're trying to cover some unkept and unmowed terrain around the green and get it on the green and let it roll up to the pin. But it's so difficult. It's a very, very difficult shot to perfect if your mechanics aren't correct. Now, listen to this part. I have always believed that I can teach you mechanics, but I can't teach you touch. But listen to the next part. Great mechanics will make you have great touch. So this is what it means. If you're topping and sculling and hitting it fat and shanking, you won't have touch. But if you get the mechanics down, your touch will come right along. So many of you have said to me, I have terrible touch. Well, you don't have terrible touch. You don't have great impact. You're not consistent with your impact. If you do this method that we show you, your impact will get better and your touch will get better. One time I said to Gary Player, I said, why are you such a great bunker player? Because that's, if you want to know this, the real secret to the short game, my love is the bunker. I love to teach it. I could stand over there and hit 500 of them at the drop of a hat. And I once said to Gary Player, why are you such a great bunker player? What's the secret? He said, I'm a great putter. So what I think he was saying was, I'm a really good bunker player, but I've made a whole lot of putts that make me look like a great bunker player. So this is what's great about chipping. If you're a bit suspect on your putting and you can chip it up close, your putting will get better, because now for your next shot you're going to have 1, 2, and 3 footers instead of 8 and 10 footers, and you won't put all the stress on it. If you're a great chipper, you take all the pressure off your putting. Now let me give you something let me pass something on to you that was passed on from my mother. If I came home and told my mom that I was pitching the ball poorly, for the next month my mom would make me hit every single short game shot with a pitching wedge. So if I came home and said that I'm chipping poorly, my mom would make me hit every single short game shot with a chipping club. And it didn't matter if it was in the bunker, if it was behind a tree. So if you start chipping every shot, even if it doesn't call for it, even if it's a real pitch over a bunker, and just for the heck of it, if you chipped every shot for a month, you wouldn't believe how much confidence you'd have. But what happens is, if you're chipping poorly, you pitch everything. If you're pitching poorly, you chip everything. So good players, like Dr. Kerry Middlecoff said, I only went to the practice facility when I shot really good scores. I never went there when I played poorly. So when you are chipping poorly, you're afraid of it, and you go to your go-to club. And that's a cardinal sin right there. Don't do that. If you're chipping poorly, you hang in there and start chipping every shot and working on the mechanics of it. That's the only way you're going to get better. I am really struggling with my fairway metal. So for the next month, all I'm going to do is drive off of every tee with my fairway metal. And what that does is that means that I'm going to practice it that much more, just like chipping. You definitely need this in your game. I don't care where you belong. I don't care how deep your bunkers are. You need to be a great chipper because you don't need strength. There's a couple of things that come up when I'm on an airplane or at a party, and when people talk about, I don't aim well and I don't have great touch, I know what they mean, because you don't do this for a living. But you're never going to have great touch and feel around the green with your chipping golf clubs if you don't practice it. Remember, Hogan said that you have to find it in the dirt. And what he means is you got to go out there and practice it. So you're going to develop feel the better your mechanics.